What's up, everybody? We are back. We are. I guess we're building Mount Rushmore again.
We're starting over again.
We're starting over.
We are Sisyphus. We are just 1 week we build Mount Rushmore, and then the next week we build it all over again. It's a crazy project we've given ourselves, but we're here. We living in this world.
Yeah, it's a new Mount Rushmore, but it's the same Mount Rushmore. It's a different side of the mountain, I guess. But these mountains are they're multi-faced. Would you say?
Yeah. There's a lot of mountains in Gamehenge, and this is just the second one that we're hitting.
There's infinite numbers of places to etch things, which is great. So we're in good shape. How you guys doing?
I have a question. Are we etching faces, or are we just etching dates? Like, does our Mount Rushmore from last week just say 8/13/93, 8/17/97, so on and so forth?
Or if it has like a famous name, maybe it has that. So it's like the Wench,
just like Barat,
Yeah.
Riverport.
I was reminded by a listener this week that this song that we're discussing today, which is Harry Hood, is not there. There aren't really named versions. There are a couple, but there aren't many.
Yeah, it's different than Jin. I feel like Jin has so many of those.
So many. And we're gonna have to get into it. We did receive some voicemails. One was from a guy who was doing his delivery route, and I think you had interesting things to say, but I couldn't understand any of it because it kept getting cut out. So call back and leave another message. And there was another call that I wanted to bring up to you guys, which you probably won't even believe me, but it did happen. And a guy asked, why during our bathtub gin Mount Rushmore did it take 34 minutes to talk about the first bathtub gin? And I just want to
like until we talked about it, or to talk
Yeah.
about the first bathtub gin.
No, that's until we like brought it up, which I think is fair. But also we're here to just talk.
We like to set a table.
Can I just ask a question about comments like this in the year of 2025? Like, podcasting has been going on for like 15, 17, 20 years at this point in time. Like, I think that we all know that the relationship between podcast and listener is this like loose conversational hang where you get to know things about the host that you wouldn't necessarily get to know if it was like, all right, we got the host from HF Pod on here. They got to give us their 4 best Mount Rushmore versions of such and such song of the next 30 seconds before we get to a commercial break. And you just have to like, boom, boom, boom. Like, this is not like sports talk radio. This is like long form conversation, unless you're RJ and you text like 10 minutes before the show. Hey, I only have like 35 minutes to do the show. So can we get to the content before minute 35? I don't know. I understand the questions about efficiency, but I feel like podcasting has been established as an inefficient medium for conversation. And like, I'm here for it. I'm here for the inefficiency. You know how many times I turn on the big picture and like they talk about what meal prepping they did for their kids last week before ever talking about the movie I want to hear about. But I like listening to them, so I'm here for it.
Listen,
so sorry.
This listener said, he called and he said, sir, why did it take you so long to get to the first bathtub gin, sir?
And he did not.
Sir, there are laws in this country.
No. But I didn't play the voicemail. So to that caller, I'm sorry, but I thought I would summarize it.
Also, if you don't like that part, you can just fast forward. It's really easy to do that on your phone. Although I don't know anybody that listens to HF Pod that wouldn't want to hear this part. When people came up to me this weekend at Reprise, everybody just wanted to tell me all these jokes that they know about from us, mostly about me winning drafts, but like lots of other things too.
Lots of other things, I'm sure. I'm sure there's other stuff too.
Mostly that. Yeah.
That's a good one that sticks out.
Great joke.
I just appreciate your call, and I do my best to keep it moving, but also to Brian's point, this is like how he commute of this length, and he was hoping to like get some bathtub gins by the end of his commute and didn't because we were just talking. So
that's definitely a fair point. But I would say to that, like, you have a commute. Don't you want to have like multiple commutes with the same pod? I personally love that. When I can pause the pod at like minute 35 and I'm like, man, I got 35 more minutes to listen to on the way back. I'm just giving you multiple commutes out here.
Well, okay. So here's a question. Well, there's not actually. Never mind. There's no questions. We're moving straight through this. I want to say that we've had like a 5 or 6 year relationship with our friends at Sunset Lake CBD, and we have officially reached the end of our last campaign with them as of like last week. And so I know that there are people out there listening who either work in the CBD and hemp space, or you have things that you really like. We love these CBD and hemp and cannabis sponsors. So if you have ideas, send them to us. Tell people to support what we're doing, because we will eat the gummies. We will take the stuff.
Yes,
Just send them to us and we'll do it. We're good at that. Right, Brian?
I mean, I have moved entirely on from the THC gummies to the CBD gummies. Some people tell me that they don't do as much. Like, I just love the mellow, focused buzz I get from CBD. It allows me to feel at ease while prepping nonsensical banter to take up 35 minutes of your commute time. So I'm here for it.
We got the Vibe gummies from Sunset Lake. I think those were a great innovation.
Those are the best.
Those are
Nothing
the
better has
best.
ever been created. That is
They're
the
the best.
greatest. That is the greatest gummy in the face of the planet, as far as
Well,
I'm concerned.
I have a competition for that, the greatest gummy on the face of the planet. RJ knows well, but this is one of my favorites. Yeah, for sure. But I like all the gummies. So send them our way.
I realize that gummies are now a competition too. All right, cool. Let's draft gummies.
Yeah, Megan wins.
I'm winning for that too. Sorry.
Okay. So if you work in cannabis or CBD, or you think there's people you should talk to, just tell us. Because there's a lot of companies out there, and I haven't gone through and like tried to find any. So someone just tell me what to do. Okay.
RJ,
Reviews.
before we move on, can I talk about a company that I'm a little annoyed with right now?
Sure.
Uh-oh.
Okay. So I just want to tell you, I came home from Mondegreen and I was really happy because Dick's hadn't happened yet. And I bought all this merch, like a lot of merch. And one of the things I bought was an insulated cup. And let me just show you what's happened to said insulated cup. This used to have like Mondegreen decals all over it. And I have never put this in the dishwasher. I wash it by hand.
Wow.
And I emailed Fish Dry Goods. And do you know what they told me? If I want a new cup, I can buy one.
No way.
I'm not kidding. I am not kidding.
It's not the message you want to your vocal proponents online who may take 35 minutes to talk about said customer service.
I'm like, wow. Customer service, like Fish Dry Goods, I've spent a lot of money with you over the years, and this is really disappointing. And yeah, so they don't care. It's just kind of sad.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. Brian, do you have
I'm
any?
not going to get a new cup.
Besides the non-release of stuff $25.99, do you have any other complaints for Fish or anyone else?
I mean, I just want to notate that my Nalgene from Magnaball, which was a better festival than Mondegreen, and was back before the dark times. Amazing festival. RJB and I hung out
so
there.
Cool.
We drank some really good beers overlooking the festival grounds. And I also, I bought this Nalgene there. It's still in great condition. I do put it in the dishwasher. Maybe you're aggressively washing it by hand. That might be
I'm not. It's the Nalgenes are much different, Brian. My Nalgenes are great and they last forever and they're great. This one is different. They tried to do some like insulated cup situation and it's the cup is amazing, but
well, so far we're doing great. We're doing great with this 38 minutes. We might be even further away from Harry Hood than we were yesterday.
I do just want to say the classic Fish rainbow logo tee. One of my favorite t-shirts.
Yes.
I own it in multiple colors because I really just enjoy. It's a great fit. I forget exactly what the brand is that they use, but it's just a fantastic thick fit with a nice collar. My one complaint, I have 3 of these, and all 3 of them have a hole that has developed in the armpit on the right side that I don't know where it comes from. I'm not like aggressively doing this at all.
Wait, that's weird.
It's a little strange. It seems as though the stitching is coming out in one specific area on all 3 shirts, 1 long sleeve, 2 short sleeve. And I'm just kind of like, can we just like spend a little bit more time ensuring that all seams here are properly pulled. I mean, it's an expensive
That's
enough
weird.
t-shirt.
Yeah.
They're always out of various colors. So like you have to like be very selective when you order and what you order. Can we just ensure that these t-shirts hold up for like 5 years? Is that too much to ask? Like a 5-year t-shirt of your favorite band? That's all I'm asking.
Wait, but Brian, do you have this issues with other t-shirts or is it just the fish ones?
It's just the fish ones. Again, very like I'm always very impressed when I get them because like the coloring looks really great. It's not like it's just like, like vacuum or like pressed
Yeah.
on. It's like in there. It's really nice. And the major like the collar's great. Usually you get these like they started making these t-shirts in like the mid 2010s where like the collar was like that thick and I fucking hated that and it would like hang down. Like this is a nice thick collar. But it's like this hole in the armpit. I don't understand what's going on here. So
that's very weird.
Dry
My
goods,
t-shirts,
come on.
I have no
I will
problem
pay
with
more.
t-shirts.
I will pay more to represent my favorite band. And then tell people about it. But like I expect a little bit higher quality than this.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with my t-shirts. Okay, I'll stop talking about it. But I love a long sleeve t-shirt. Everybody should know
that's
that
great.
About me.
That's great to know. We'll do that next episode or all our favorite long sleeve t-shirts. All right, guys.
I love how you are the one that asked these questions and we are giving you answers and whatever.
I had a rhetorical question, which was, do you have any complaints? And you were supposed to say no.
Sorry, I did have a complaint today.
I'm just going to assume that this is all your fault and that's why we're here and you have to deal with it. T-shirt draft. I'm down with
T-shirt draft.
Welcome to my life. It's my fault.
Rushmore of merch. Maybe in 2028 when we don't have any more ideas, we'll just do a Mount Rushmore of merch.
All right.
That's
so
amazing. I better win that
Reprise, one. Good Reprise shows this weekend, guys. Reprise is awesome. Brooklyn Bowl on Saturday night was awesome. Worcester was great. Saratoga was great. I heard that New Hope last night was great. I couldn't go. At every show, many of our listeners came up to me and just thanked us for the podcast. So thank you guys for coming out and supporting that. It's pretty great.
Reprise was unbelievable. I'm not going to take a long time because I know RJ's on the clock, but it was really crazy.
No, our friend in Texas or wherever who's driving to work is on the clock, not me.
Yeah, it's true.
They're talking about t-shirts. What is going on here? We're talking about Harry Hood. I do just want to shout out EV Dude here. It's Comfort Colors. That is the brand. And once Fish dry goods switched to Comfort Colors, the t-shirt quality really, really raised, except for again the armpits. I don't get it.
I feel like it might be something about you. That's really weird. I don't know. We need to look into that. But anyway,
Megan,
what I was going to say about Reprise, I have to say is that to take on 12/30/97, one of the greatest Fish shows of all time, when Fish was at the peak of their powers, and play this one night when they're doing 3 other nights around that, it's such a monumental task. And they delivered so hard. I mean, the narration was absolutely incredible. Cal just went for it so well. And Tom coming out, it's a really special night. And just to get to dance to those songs again, I wanted to take more video, but I was just busy getting down. It's too busy dancing. It was super fun. Brooklyn Bowl was packed too. So do not miss them at Brooklyn Bowl next time they come through. It was super fun.
Yeah, it's probably going to happen again. One of the coolest things that's happened in the past week, all those Reprise shows and a lot of other stuff, but one of the coolest things that happened is that we got like a bunch of new reviews. So thank you all.
Yes. Awesome. Nice job, RJ. Thank you
and
for that. Thanks, everybody.
Go to Apple Podcasts and just log in or create an account. Give it 5 stars. Tell us why you like it. The show, that is. And that would be helpful. We Adam in Texas, Brown Ale Guy, Ant 77007, Bluke, Serb Guy, who said some people just do fish better. He was saying that there's not a contest on HF Pod, but some people just do fish better. That was in reference to me. Thank you. Split Open and Mark, Canonical Stuff. Forbin 777. Thank you. And Incredible Perp. Thank you for your reviews. I know you guys are listening and here. So thanks.
Thank you guys.
Today, guys, we're talking about Harry Hood. And that's what we have to do. It's hard. It's hard work. It's difficult work. But we're here to do it for you, the listener. That's all. That's my only intro.
Well, I think this was my favorite week. I mean, we've only been doing this for 2 weeks, but maybe one of my favorite weeks of Fish listening in a really long time, because I started off the week. I started on Monday when we were filming. We filmed Gin that afternoon. I started that morning, and every morning I listened 2 or 3 of the best Harry Hoods. And by Friday, I'm not kidding you, I was a different person. I had so much joy. I just felt so positive and so happy. And I rode that through the weekend. And I really think it had to do with just listening to the most uplifting thing ever. Like it was really bizarre. I think I've never listened to, I think we had 23 Harry Hoods, and I listened to them all in a row. And then I went back and listened to my favorites again twice. So I've listened to a lot of versions of Harry Hood. And it was just, it changed my perspective. I've been feeling really happy since then, since Friday. Thanks to Harry Hood. I can feel good, I guess.
You can. You're allowed to. It's important.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. That's
Yeah.
phenomenal. Well, I think this was a hard task to select the top 4
Yeah.
versions. Harder than last week, I think. But
Sure.
Sorry, Brian, but
Yeah.
it's
way harder.
Different. It's different.
It is. No, I agree. This is because I think you're right, Meg. And I think to your point, RJ, this is I think this is up there with Yem, Down with Z's, Tweezer to a certain degree. That like there's more than 4 willing, and that's not to say that Jin doesn't have more than 4 willing, as we diverged in some ways on all of our lists, but like Harry Hood is one of those songs that, I mean, it's typically a late show song that cements a great show or saves a bad show. And its placement kind of elevates the show no matter what happens. Like if it's the final song of the second set, or if it's the encore, or if you get a shock early first set version, like, it elevates what the show feels because it is so historic. And also that the entirety of the jam segment is dedicated to 3-chord bliss jamming that makes you feel so damn good. RJ, what was kind of your approach and what were your thoughts about Harry Hood going in and as you were preparing for this?
Well, I think the reason I think it's difficult is there's not a it's not a reflection of where they are musically in the moment, which I think with Beth of Gin certainly, but Tweezer, other jam vehicles, you're kind of choosing the style of the era or the year or the tour, right? Like, but with a few diversions, like it's mostly it's a 3-chord progression, and it's never just those 3 chords because that's what makes Fish who they are. But it's really just it's a chord progression that they play in different ways. It's not, Bathtub Gin can go in 100 different directions. Really, like Harry Hood can go in 2 directions, and there's really like the one direction is what we're mostly talking about, which is just a build up to a great peak with like some frills, And I think that's what makes it hard because there's so many that are equally awesome in that sense.
It's also, as I was listening through and I was kind of considering what does Harry Hood mean to Fish at this point in time? What has it meant to them throughout their whole career? Like when they learned what they had with this song, which I would argue really starts to happen in the Spring '92 tour, but I'm sure that they knew this before. They realized this is like the emotional centerpiece of a show and of a set.
Yeah.
And you could really win over people that may have been lost by some of the humor or some of the kind of weirdness. You could really win over listeners knowing that, like, wow, if a band can get to that simple cathartic peak like Fish gets to in pretty much every single Harry Hood from like 1992 to fall of 1994 without going too far off the reservation, like I will come back just for that. It's like as reliable of a peak as you could ever ask for within Fish's larger catalog, which is a very unique thing.
Yeah, I was thinking about how a live one, the Hood from a live one, is something I've played for people who don't know Fish and ask me about it. Because to me, it's really kind of the essence of what Fish is about. There's a million reasons why all of us like Fish, but I'm sure every single Fish fan, whether you're a jaded vet, whether you're a noob, whether you're, someone who overanalyzes the band, whether you're someone who loves everything they play no matter what, everyone loves that Harry Hood peak and the emotion contained in that. And that is why we go to see Fish, because we like listening to Harry Hood, and we know that this band can take this story, this song that's just so, the origin story of it is so funny and so fishy, and turn it into this hugely emotional piece. It's kind of like, Slave is kind of its sister, but even Slave has like a lot of like silly lyrics that people, I think, turn people off sometimes. But Hood is just so much about the music. And to me, it's always been something that I play people with pride and say, like, this is what Fish can do. And, whether or not they get it, I think it still speaks to why we all keep going back and what is really at the heart of this band.
I think also to that point, and RJ, you hinted at this, I'd love to hear you expand on it, but the idea of like Harry Hood could have just been what Harry Hood was in 1992, 1993, which was this 3-chord build to a peak. They started messing with it in fall of 94, further in parts of 97, definitely in 2.0, and then throughout parts of 3.0, 4.0, and treating it as a jam vehicle in and of itself, where it leaves the 3 chords, goes off, explores a bunch of different terrain of music as though it were Tweezer, as though it were Disease, before working its way back to the peak. And it kind of showcases that, like, even when Fish is as like purely and as genuinely just like emotive as they are during this song, and it's a very sincere build in a lot of ways that like is designed to make you feel something and really kind of message something about that these guys are not just like music nerds, like they actually like feel the power of music. But these experimental versions that they've played, there are a handful of them throughout the years, they really kind of reflect where the band is at a given time, while also kind of, they're not going to leave Harry Hood unfinished, because they know that the peak is kind of what you came for, even if there's a cool jam segment. But I'm curious your thoughts, RJ, like going back and forth between, because this is RJ's week. RJ is picking the 4 Harry Hoods. RJ will take all of your hate because this is a really hard one. This is really hard.
This is hard.
But RJ, as you were listening through that balance between pure, I think it's DAG peaking, and the type 2 versions that have happened, like, tell me like what those sounded like to you as you were kind of putting together your 4.
Well, the good news is that even when I'm not picking, I still get the shit from people, because it's like that's just that's how it works. So just keep it coming, everybody. It's fine. Yeah, I mean, I guess my main thing is that we've seen a lot of interesting type 2 hoods recently, where they go into the minor key and then they come back. And to me, those are, and this is my opinion, and but I believe it strongly, which is, it's only really useful in as much as it leads to the inevitable peak. So if we're doing this just to, like the summer 03 versions, really great, really interesting and reflective of the time. Is it different than a long Chuck Does Torture? Like, not really. It's the same thing, except unless it is giving you an interesting path back to that ending peak. So I think it's all in service of that, of making the peak awesome. Because if it's not, then like I don't really need it. It almost always is, especially the ones on this list. But like, I don't need Harry Hood to be exploratory, I guess is what I'm saying. But if it's going to be exploratory, it better, add to the payoff at the end.
Well, that's interesting, because that's one of the problems I had picking these 4, because when you think about Harry Hood, that's what you think about, is less about the exploration. And there are a few on here that do, but mostly you think about like that classic Hood peak. And if you're really thinking about the 4 that do that the best, it's a different list than if you're thinking about the 4 that are varied or speak to where they were in a certain time. So I really struggled being like, do I want to have a list that's diversified and speaks to the range of Harry Hood, or do I want to have just like the 4 best unmissable Hood peaks? That's challenging, especially because they're all in 1994. I'm just kidding, but kind of.
Are you saying that like the 03 versions are kind of like if a Whig Party president was on Mount Rushmore. Like that was a fun like detour and experimentation here. Nice try with the third party guys, but we're really a two-party country.
Well, I would say my friend is already 25 minutes into his commute, so I'm not. We're gonna talk about these 03
Okay.
hoods soon enough.
We sure are.
Do you like that, Brian? That's called a cliffhanger in the biz.
So thank you for that. I'm learning so much 10
This
years
guy
into
and
podcasting.
This guy in his commute, he really has a
I
lot
know.
of power today. My God,
does,
he's like
he
running
does.
us.
He's basically running it. No, I do, but I do think like there's actually one of the Summer 03 versions that I like more than the other one because although it's exploratory, it still sticks more closely to what I understand as Harry Hood in a classical sense.
We should put a pin in that,
Yep.
which is a podcasting phrase if you guys haven't listened to podcasts before. Because I have a lot of thoughts about that debate as well. I think it's very interesting and I have shifted my opinions on it. So there's some foreshadowing as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, look at that. Wow. Okay. Megan, do you want to say anything about Harry Hood before I unveil the first two versions?
Yeah, sure. I'll just say that the story of Harry Hood is so fishy and it's the stuff of legends. And I think we all know, but on October 30th, 1985, in Hunts in Burlington, Vermont, Fish took the stage and played the first known version of Harry Hood. And this is the story that Trey, during the intro, he told us that it was the story about the man who lives directly across the street from us. And we know that that time they were living across the street from the Hood milk bottling plant. And I love remembering that this is how this story started and thinking about all the details about how there was like a little animated character who used to live in the fridge and their roommate, Brian Long, asked, where do you think he goes when the lights go out? And then we all know the second part of how this music came about when Trey and Fish were in Greece and almost died and were on a lot of acid and wrote this beautiful music. And I think it's really fun to think about the pieces and how young and playful they were, and to be able to write such a powerful piece of music being so young to me is just really speaks to the absolute genius of Trey Anastasio. Yeah, we've got 432 times this song has been played. There are 116 entries on the jam chart. A fourth of the time played, it was jam charted. But most versions are around like 15 minutes and have that little like occasional bliss space before the peak. And there are 23 versions on our long list and 4 versions in live bait. So not that many, which kind of surprised me.
Yeah. They horrible job. No offense, like of releasing some of these hoods.
There's some on here that it's absolutely insane that they are not released.
It's bad.
Yeah.
It's really bad. I've seen Harry Hood 40 times, the second most of any song, and the first song I've seen the most is Tweezer 50 times.
Same with me, Tweezer.
It's like a big drop off, but I fucking love Harry Hood. They played it every show. It'd be great. I think Reprise played it 3 times this weekend.
It was really fun to see Reprise play it on Saturday night when we had been studying it so much. They did an amazing job with it too. But yeah, it was really great to hear that. I've only seen it 19 times, which kind of surprised me.
What?
And I know. And it made me realize I need to be appreciating these even more than I do. Like,
yeah.
I've seen it 27 times. It's my second most seen song. Do you know what my fourth most seen song is? This is crazy, and this is relevant to our podcast. 46 Days. I've seen 26 times.
No wonder you love it.
Well, how many times have I seen my soul? I just will say that the fade from the last Thank You, Mr. Minor, when the lights go down and then you just get the like blue and green and purple lights, is my favorite moment at any Fish show I go to. There's nothing like it. It is total peace, total bliss. You know what's about to come, but it's like the band just playing with silence and just playing with your feelings in a really powerful way. Man, just what a song. That story about them writing it after drowning led me to telling my parents, after I read it in the Fish book, I told them I wanted to study abroad in Italy, and they said, why? And I showed them this, which was probably a mistake for a 16-year-old to make. And they're like, you're not going to Italy anytime soon. Shut up.
That's awesome.
You're not going to be taking drugs on a beach and
writing. What are you talking about? Graduate high school first.
I think Brian, that moment and the moment when the Reba jam starts, those are the two best parts of a Fish show that you could
Reba
hope
is
for.
the same way. Yeah, I agree. I think either one of those songs, if you're in the room when Fish is playing it live, that's the only place you want to be. That's a special moment. I never take that for granted. I know there's some amazing hoods on this list that are outdoors, but to me, Harry Hood always hits the hardest indoors because it's just everything feels so like close and captured and tight, and I love hearing it inside.
Yeah. All right. So here we go. I just want to say I could easily make the case for 8 at least to be in the top 4, but that's why we are here to do
100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I'm gonna, if you disagree, which everyone's going to, like, just fine. It's fine with me.
I think this is going to be one of those that we slightly get wrong and may have to do a second Mount Rushmore episode about. Not because
really?
you're going to get it
Yeah,
wrong.
he's already saying you're doing it wrong.
That's not what I'm saying. It's just really fucking hard. It's Harry Hood.
Yeah.
I'm sure that between the three of us, we have 20 versions.
Sure. It's really hard. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is I got mine exactly right, so we should be good on this.
Perfect.
Fair point.
Okay.
Fair point.
So, all right. So, am I going?
Let's go with your number one pick here, RJ. Tell us what it is.
I'm going, and we're going chronologically. That is how we're doing it for the whole series. It just has to be.
Has to be.
Correct.
Has to be. Right. Okay. So the first one is 12/31/93. So here's my thinking on this. First of all, it's a huge moment for them. This is their biggest show to date. It's an amazing year that led up to this. Broadcast on FM radio, the whole show is just incredible. But the Auld Lang Syne tease right at the beginning of the jam, and it's so delicate and quiet, and Trey's build is just keeps playing these riffs over and over, building up to get to the top of this mountain. And I just think the peak and the way that they build it up, it meets the occasion of this kind of biggest New Year's show yet sort of thing. And I also think that this version kicks off the golden kind of era for the song itself. And I think it's just it's awesome. I think the riffs that Trey plays, he's as with a lot of 93, he's just on top of the jam the entire time, but building in a very delicate, patient way to this awesome peak. And the crowd noise is great. It's just it's a perfect, early version that kind of sets off this the next couple of years.
Yeah, I really like that pick. I like the context of it. I like thinking about it's what kind of leads to 94, which is such one of the big, true first golden age of this song. And I really like that you chose this. I love the Auld Lang Syne floating in the space of Hood when he's teasing that. It's so pretty. Trey's tone is just perfection. And I love the way he leads the group so frantically, but in the best way towards the peak. It's an awesome, good choice. I didn't see that coming. I like it.
Thanks, Meg. Brian, what do you got? What did I do wrong so far?
I don't think you did anything wrong. I think I really, really debated. This is on my honorable mentions, which I'll explain when I get there. I really, really went back and forth. I think I listened to this version more than any other on the list, just to be am I making the wrong move here by taking this off of my own personal Mount Rushmore? I think there's no version of any Fish song that was beaten over my head more than this on Fantasy Tour between the years 2001 and 2010. Any time someone made a noob related comment, someone was just go and listen to 1231 Hood and come back when you've learned who Fish is. It is one of those versions that if you don't know it by heart, you don't really know, you're kind of doing it wrong. This is listening to Please Please Me as for the Beatles. This is the foundational. I think I'll explain more about why I didn't have it on my full list when I get there, but it's mainly this has all the parts. This is the construction of the house. You see the blueprint, everything has been figured out. I think that they do this version slightly better a little bit later, which we'll get to.
I will say I think there's one other Mount Rushmore jam from that show. that I think we'll eventually get to. It'll certainly be on my list, but
I think I know what you're
see.
talking about.
Yeah.
That show, can we just talk about more gripes with the fish organization? How in the hell has it been
It's crazy
30
that it's not
years
out.
and we don't have a box set of
I mean-
1230 and 1231.93? What is
1230
going
is a good
on?
point.
Yeah.
Both back to back. These are like two of the greatest fish shows of all time.
I mean, you got the FM sound, so it's like, it's not.
Oh yeah,
that
I really
part.
love the like high treble on that. That's great. Sounds awesome.
It should be archivally released. These are like some of the most important shows they ever played. It's
Hey,
ridiculous.
Thank you.
It's called managing a catalog of assets, guys. Look it up. As they say in the biz. All right.
biz.
Ready?
So what are we waiting for, like the 50th anniversary?
No,
Like
no,
when
it's-
they're not playing any shows? Like
I
what's
think it's
going
when
on
like
here?
Trey's grandkids are like, all right, what are we gonna do now? What do we got left?
What do we got left? We got Worcester to come out.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
we should release Big Cypress, but let's wait until the 100th anniversary of Big Cypress. When people
Exactly.
are really ready.
Wait. Okay, now.
All right. Okay. So all right, let's go. You guys ready? We're getting into the best.
Dude, I'm ready.
Best
I think
Yeah.
you're doing a great job. I think you're doing
Thanks.
a great job. And I
Thanks,
think that
Brian.
I
Thanks so
re-listened to our
much.
episode from last week. You were so encouraging to me. I think that we should really make these episodes as like
I do too.
build up. Like I love you so much. You're doing a great job. We're gonna pick nits, but you're doing a great job.
Thanks,
But
Brian.
we got to because the
Gosh.
drafts are so bloodthirsty that we have to be sweet on
We do.
these. I agree with that.
They're
Okay,
turning our
s-
comments section and like very
They are.
aggressive right
Well,
now. We're not even
they're-
drafting. My God.
This is what happens in like the political world. Like there are factions, being created.
Yes, yes.
There's like the Megan faction, which is the biggest, and then there's the Brink Maniacs, and then there's a couple of people who think I'm smart according to that one review, and so we all got our people. Okay,
Tell you what, the Brig Maniacs are like policy wonks that like get like 1% of their bill like actually passed through in the final vote.
they're just there for the symbolic. they're there to make the votes that they care about. I mean,
I know who I represent. Come on,
Yeah.
you go, RJ. You go.
Okay. All right. So we're entering the best year for Harry Hood now, 1994. I think there's at least 4 versions that you could argue. I think that could
Yes.
be
Oh God, yeah,
on
Yeah.
Oh,
on
God,
here,
yeah.
and
I
I'm
struggled
leaving a
big
lot.
time.
I'm leaving
big
a lot.
time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going straight to 10/23/94. This is
Have to.
it's iconic, and it like if you're not. It's kind of what you said about 12/31/93. I mean, if you don't know this Harry Hood like note for note, then like I don't know what to tell you. But I do think it's that every Trey riff, every moment of this is burned into my memory. Is it the best version ever? Maybe. I mean, it's there's a little bit of a diversion, but it like largely stays on track. And it's what's hard about it. There's so many perfect versions, and that's the thing about
Mhm.
this, right? Like there is no perfect version of Bathtub Gin. Bathtub Gin is just like a thing that is a sponge of the era or the time or the tour. This is like there are a lot of perfect versions that have like little things that are different. And to me, the build, the trilling from Trey, the peak. I mean, it's hard, but if you look at the other versions around this time, like this one builds the tension in those kind of like little diversion, but keeps it really lean and focused.
Yeah.
It's like a great story. It's like it takes you on a little path, but then it like it's tight, it's like focused, but it like builds enough tension that it makes it unique and stand out. And they chose to memorialize it on their best selling album they've had. And so, like what am I supposed to do here? This is
have to pick it.
a Mount Rushmore version, but I also think maybe it's the best version ever. And if it is, then it's probably the only time they've ever chosen the best version ever to release on.
I mean, I have a contender for the other one that I think is the best, but I think this one it has to be on the list.
It's kind of like the Murat Gin, I think, in that like they reference it, they like memorialized it themselves, and it's
Right, like fan selected. Yeah. Like
Yeah.
they felt the power of it. Mhm.
I don't know, Brian. What are your thoughts on this?
I think you've said it. I think you're 100% correct on everything you said here. So I'm just searching for like little thread lines to add on to. The one thing I will say that I think you hinted at is like this combines that pure 12/31/93 approach of just like, let's sit in the chordal progression and let this slowly build, and the riffs are everything, and like the peak is so well earned, but it has that like 90-second dip out into space and into weirdness that adds another, like that's a part of Hood history as well, is when they've figured out ways to break out of it. I think to an argument that you were making 10 minutes ago, which I hope, our listener listening to his commute is happy with 10-minute, going back to like 10 minutes ago that we were talking about Hood. Like sometimes the type 2 versions don't resolve themselves properly. And that is a big knock because, and especially you saw this in 3.0 and parts of 4.0, where they would get to the peak and they didn't have it. They couldn't actually deliver the peak. This one has the perfect build, the diversion, and then the return, and the peak is so heavy and intense. Is this the best version ever done? I think possibly, probably, like really, really, like could be the best one that's ever happened. I know I got kicked out of a dive bar multiple times because I put this on the internet jukebox. And
it's not the vibe that people wanted.
and people were like, why are you putting Fish on again, Brinkman? And I was just like, can you just listen to the end? Like, I know it's 15 minutes long, but can we have a little bit of patience?
I think that like thinking about the ones right around it that are really great, like thinking about the 10-20-94 from St. Petersburg, which is like has that like exploratory freewheeling off the deep end vibe, like Providence Bowie hints, and then the 11-12-94 Kent one, which is like one of my favorite things ever. This is kind of in the middle of those, right? Like the Kent has like it's all just so quiet and patient, and it's got that stunning like huge build with like the solo that could change the world from Trey, and then St. Petersburg has got the exploratory, and the live one is just kind of like in the middle of that. So maybe it is the perfect one. I think the perfect Hood has to be from fall 94. Like there's no other place it could be from. So
that's the era.
Yeah, I think we should just say that this is the best one. I don't know. I feel like it kind of is.
I think it probably is. I mean, because we're going chronologically, if you're adept at numbers and calendars, you'll see that there was one left out already. So which I'm sure we'll talk about from 3 days prior, or wait, did I just go in the future? No. Yeah, that other one is from 3 days prior, which I did not include. So we're gonna have to talk about that one because it's a good distinction. But I assume that one of you has it. But if you don't, then we should talk about it after or now if neither of you have it.
Wait, the one that I just said, 10-20?
Yeah,
I have that on my honorable mentions. Like I have
Same.
the 4 Mount Rushmore ones that I have 4 honorables because I was just like, there's too many great versions.
So this is on all of our honorable mention list.
Yeah, I have 5 honorable mentions, and this is on mine. Yeah.
I think 10-20 should absolutely be heard. We're talking about a 20-minute version of Harry Hood in the fall of 94. Like, if you're not listening to this, what are we doing? Like, these are come on, these are the versions that we seek out. I think where it fell off for me from the Mount Rushmore is I don't totally think that you can have, man, maybe this will happen. Maybe I'm just shooting myself in the foot for what I'm about to say. But like, I don't think you can necessarily have like the Mount Rushmore versions be like literally 3 days apart. I think that like to tell the story of the band, to tell the story about this song, any of these songs, they have to kind of like show different eras. Also, I think that it gets a little bit too in the weeds of the experimentation, which hints at another experimental version that I left off of my list, which we'll talk about later in the episode. I just think that 1023 gives you enough type 2 jamming while retaining the power of Hood that I dropped 1020 just slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was. That was the choice, was between the two, and I think that because of what you just said, that's same here.
I think you made the right choice, even if it's on a live one.
Yeah,
there's a reason it's on it. I mean,
yeah,
it's not like
I don't think a live one is a live one
like
without this Hood.
Yeah, exactly. And they spent so much time thinking about songs to put on here, like it,
Yeah, and like everything on that album is a top version, but like I think we all would agree there is a better tweezer from Fall 94. There are potentially bigger slaves. There's that Stash is pretty perfect for Stash, but like this being the representation of Hood, I think makes the whole album what it is.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's take a quick break and then let's get to the other two, and then we're gonna have to hear Brian and Megan's picks, which is actually more interesting. Okay, we'll be right
And the
back.
listeners.
And the listeners. Okay, how are we doing? We're doing great. All right, it's 44 minutes in. Our friend is already at work. Hopefully, he's gonna listen to the rest when he comes out in the afternoon. Okay, we're picking up with number 3 here. We are, I think in terms of Mount Rushmore, it doesn't really work because, we're talking about what did we jump from Jefferson to Teddy Roosevelt? Or no, did we jump from Jefferson to Lincoln?
Jefferson to Lincoln and then Lincoln to
Mhm.
Roosevelt. Yeah.
Okay, so Jefferson to Lincoln. This doesn't really work because we're only going forward less than a month because we're staying in fall 94. Megan mentioned this, but the 11/12/94 version is
Good.
it has to be on here. Ultimately, one of my notes says ultimately this version makes me quote feel good. Isn't that why we're here? But also the quiet, the way that they build the tension with the quiet in the middle makes everything so much more powerful. And this might be the best version from this tour. I mean, this is like with the big ending and the quiet middle section. I listened to this like 20 times to make sure that it was the right choice. And I feel like between this and the live one version, like if you had 2 versions of Harry Hood that you were going to listen to and you had those 2, like you'd be happy.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's like a good argument for not taking 2 fall 94 hoods, but I also think that these might be the 2 best. So I think the 11/12's got to go up there. What do you guys say?
100% agree. This listening back was maybe my favorite one I listened to. I think it's so perfect. It's so beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. It has maybe the hugest build ever. I mean, I love it. I love the patience. It's so quiet. Thank God we have this archivally released. That was well done.
This is on my list. This is the version that knocked 12/31/93 off because to me, when I listen back, they are that similar approach to Hood, whereas 10/23 is a little bit more let's get weird, but also have the peak. This feels like the difference between whatever gear the band had in December 1993, whatever operation they had, like however they were recording their shows, however they were approaching their jams, by 11 months later, they are able to play a straightforward version of Harry Hood while also just like it sounds a little bit more muscular, sounds a little bit more like, a fully realized version. That is not shade on 12/31/93. So, whoever's coming at me in the chats here right now, just cool down. I love 12/31/93. To me, if you're building the Mount Rushmore and you're taking the approach of Mount Rushmore, a live one and 10/20 or and 11/12, excuse me, are your Washington Jefferson. But
Yeah.
that's me. I'm not gonna. I think RJ's doing a great job here. I think this is a
Killing
very,
it,
very
RJ.
difficult task. I think you're absolutely right. This is one of those songs where there has to be 2 versions from the same tour. I think there will be a
Yeah.
couple other songs like this. Maybe by default, as we get into like the more 3.0, 4.0 songs that have hit 50 versions and qualify for this. But when you look back at Fall 94, you think of a couple things: bassy, weird, crazy, jazzy jams, and Harry Hood at its absolute best. Also bluegrass.
And some bluegrass. Yeah, I was just gonna say. I
Yeah.
was just thinking that.
It's really you talked about it earlier, Megan, in terms of what makes this one good. I mean, I think the quiet contrasting with the peak is just, it's really hard to recreate that. All right. So now it's the last one before we hear listeners, Brian and Meg. This is going to be controversial because you can't,
This is
not everyone's
hard.
going to have the same 4. Yeah, it is hard. But it was not hard for me ultimately after it was hard for a very long time, which is when I eventually chose it. So I had to do this and I'll tell you why. Although I did have a question while we're talking about it. So the final version that we're adding to the mountain is the Went Hood. So
Nice.
I'll tell you why.
All right.
Well, actually, I'll tell you about the question first so you can think about that and then answer it when I'm done describing it, which is the art jam is kind of an integral part of this hood.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, but it's not part of the song, you know? So like, does that detract from it in that the crowd noise and the excitement with what's going on with the fan created art during the jam is part of what makes this to me one of the top versions. Does it count as a standalone version if there's like something else going on that preceded it? I mean, maybe that's the case with every concert, that there's stuff that happens before and then the stuff that happens after, but I think that you hear the crowd build. I think this is one of the most emotionally powerful versions of the song. I mean, this whole set is just like a release of emotion the entire time, like every song. So I feel like it's part of that, but there's also this part of the crowd building up and then the band building up to the peak and then Kuroda turning off the lights. And, you know, it's also this moment in time that everyone knows about. And what an amazing scene to be a part of. And I feel like that is why it has to be there as this like seminal moment in Fish history, but also really emotionally powerful jam and peak because of all the other stuff that was happening around it.
Is this in favor of plastic light up glow sticks being thrown in the air and then left for
Yeah, this is way before anyone cared about that.
like, you know, essential
Pre-controversy.
workers to come through and throw them into plastic bags and then throw them in a
Trey
landfill?
said to
Is
go
that what
buy
you're
more.
advocating for? Yeah, you
Yeah,
did.
Trey
You really
wants to
loved
go
it.
buy more.
Loved it.
You had
just
no
loved
idea
it so much.
the environmental implications of glow stick wars.
What do you guys feel about? How do you feel about this?
It's not on my list, but I don't think it's necessarily wrong based on the reasons you've laid out. I think my pushback is simply that it shares so much thematically with the previous versions that we've listed here. I also, and we'll talk about this, I do think that we have to have some representation outside of 1.0 for Harry Hood. But that said, this does something very interesting to this series that I've just added a new update to our spreadsheet. The Mount Rushmore shows / Mount Rushmore sets, because now we have two 8/17/97 set 2 jams on our Mount Rushmore, which really says
That's
a lot.
crazy.
This should be an interesting exploration of the best shows and sets as well, just based on how we come about this.
Yeah.
It's incredibly rare to have two versions in the same show on par with the Went Jin and the Went Hood, let alone the same set. I guess my only, well, beyond what I've said, but the last reason I would not have it on my list is I do tend to think of, whereas the Went Jin is like its own thing, but also a part of the set. I think the Went Hood is more a part of the set than its own thing. I don't know if that makes sense, but like that's kind of how I hear it, as like a part of a piece rather than an individual jam. So no real knock. I think you're doing a great job. I think you did a great job. I think it's a very interesting pick, and very much this is the reflection of, you know, the sculptors making doing their work.
Well, I want to respond to that, but Megan, go ahead. If you go first.
I've just always felt that this is such an experiential hood. Like this is so much about the experience, and you know, it's on Bittersweet Motel. It's like got the crowd yelling. It's so much about like the experience of being at a festival, and how the band communicates with the audience at a festival, and how important that is to Fish, and how fishy that whole thing is. And I love the banter. You know, yeah, it's incredibly optimistic. Is really uplifting climb. You've got the crowd just screaming during the build. Like it's a moment in Fish history for sure. So I can see why you chose it. It's not on my list, but it makes sense to me.
I'm just saying, to your point, Brian, this is what Harry Hood is. That's what it is. It's a song that builds to a beautiful peak. That's what the song is for. I'm telling you, that was my main reason.
That's a good reason.
So you're kind of separating it away from the music, almost like the experience. Because like musically, this isn't like my favorite Hood, but like experientially, you're saying this is like the peak of what Hood should be.
I think it's one of the best, yeah. But I also think that when I'm thinking about what makes Harry Hood great, it is this. And like I said at the beginning, I think the first version that dropped off of the top 4 was 73103 because I think it's a really good version. I think it sticks more to like the classic Harry Hood emotionally, but also is exploratory. Not as much as the one before that, which I'm sure we'll talk about. But these 4 are like I could hand these 4 to anyone and say this is what Harry Hood is, and it would be clear. You get like
I get that.
you get diversity, you get diversions, but ultimately this is a song that builds to an awesome emotional peak, and that's what I was looking for. So to me, like these represent those peaks best. So that's it. That's what I got.
The fact that we have to listen to people in the audience talking during this is a crime against humanity.
Yeah. Well, we should go back to.
Speaking of shows that need to be released in full, where is the Great Went box set?
We have 2 Mount Rushmore versions on there, and it's not even archivally released. This is like unbelievable.
There was one version I listened to, 32193, and the only thing that was in my notes besides of like there's some like fun guitar effects stuff early on is like, why is everyone talking during the jam? It's like everyone was like, hey, let's catch up.
It's like the thought I have when I like catch that people are like walking up the stairs out of their seats at a Fish show is I'm just like when the band is on stage, I'm like, where are you going? Like, unless like My Soul or Funky Bitch is playing, like what are you doing? Like, what is going on here?
I don't know. Maybe that's
it might, maybe it's reggae every time I look up.
All right. So Megan, you share yours now because Brian and I now have both had the stage. Brian, we're going to come back to Brian, but I want to hear what you got.
Okay, so I have 2 diversions from your list.
Great.
I have a live one. I have the Kent 11-12-94, and then I have the Camden 7-31-03. And this is my wildest pick, and I don't know. I just decided to go for it. I chose the 10-28-14 from Bill Graham because I really wanted to have a 3 or 4.0 Harry Hood just because I didn't love just having this idea of this song being like such a relic. Like to me, it's still an important song, obviously, but like I think it still goes places and it still inspires them. And I just decided to have that one on there. But I think the 7-31-03 Camden is definitely needs to be on the list for me. I think it just is it kind of brings in that spacey intro. Like when they start doing the spacey intro, that's such an important change in Hood when that starts coming in and it becomes so like cemented in 03. And this jam is so melodic and it sounds like Trey is channeling Jerry Garcia. It's just all this like really melodic noodling and there's this huge organ underneath it. It sounds to me like just brings me back to like being outside listening to the Grateful Dead. It's just the way it melts into that rhythmic space. It's so compelling. And then Paige comes in and plays that Hood riff so softly after this like long journey. This is like definitely incredible. And I think this version is one of the most special and unique versions of Hood. So I wanted it on there.
Yeah.
Whew.
That's fair. That is
I think
fair.
that's the sound. Hold on. Did you hear that?
What?
Did you hear that? That's the sound of Meg winning the draft with the 10-28-14 Harry Hood. The fans out there are like, oh yeah, best Mount Rushmore ever.
I agree with you about the 03 one. That was the first one to fall off, as I mentioned.
It was killer. But I do think that like having like the 10-28-14, I know it's kind of harder to defend, but the other ones I have a bunch of other honorable mentions, which we'll talk about, but this one is just a really seamless journey. It's got like these fun teases in the front end, and then it's just super fluid, interesting the whole time. And it's such a big year for Hood. Like Hood had a great year. It starts like in that Great Woods at 7-1. Like there's just a really great versions of Hood this year. And this whole set, speaking of a great set, incredible. Yeah. Killed
awesome set.
Awesome set.
Killer
but, like,
show.
I felt like it'd be nice to have like a contemporary Hood, if you will.
Yeah. I mean, I would, Yeah, I think that's fair. Your point is fair. It's not a relic. I mean, our last version of Bathtub Gin on Mount Rushmore is, from 22 years ago. So, we're not really like representing the modern era, which I don't think is bad. I think it's still like we still love these songs. I mean, I would choose like some of the other hoods that aren't jam charted that I've loved because it's still awesome.
Yeah.
It's still awesome.
I was thinking about that because there was a comment earlier about someone's favorite. I forget who it was, so I apologize. But someone's favorite hood was the Harry Hood Encore from 4498, which is not a jam charted version, which is insane because it's a great version that's coming after a second set that I think is absolute fish perfection. Birds, 2001, Brother with a jammed out version, Ghost, Into Lizards, Bowie, and then they come out and they play Harry Hood. Like Lizards, Bowie, Encore Break, Hood. Like, can you think of a more iconic fish? It's like, that's incredible stuff. And that's not jam charted. It's not on my list, but it is like reflective of you can see a version of Harry Hood that changes your life, even if it's not the best version. Like that is the challenge with this song is even the like B tier versions of Harry Hood are outstanding and are some of the most emotional things I've ever experienced musically. I think it's a really good list. I think it's a very bold and brave call to go 10, 28, 14. I respect it. I think it's an important note that Harry Hood is still reinventing itself so deep in the band's career, which speaks to where the band is really at. And I think if that's not on my list, but I think that it's definitely a right call.
Thanks.
Sure.
On your
Whatever
list?
you need.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So I've got 3 of 4 with Meg, and I've got 3 of 4 with our dude, EV dude. So
Ooh,
I
nice.
started with the 1023-94 version, a live one. Then I went to 1112-94. As we've noted, I think that you have to have 2 fall 94 versions. I think those are the 2 best. I then went a little bit different, and I went with probably my favorite version of Harry Hood that has ever been played, which is 12/5/95 from Amherst, Massachusetts. Show that has a killer bathtub gin as well that just missed my list there. It's funny. I remember when I was collecting a lot of tapes and I was downloading shows, and like you couldn't just go on re-listen and listen to any show. Beyond 12/31/93, people were always telling me to listen to 12/30/95, which is a great version. But as I started listening to like December 95 in full, 12/5/95 and 12/17/95 always hit me a little bit harder than 12/30. And 12/5 has that same kind of move that the live one version does, where it gets to the peak and then it's like, nope, not yet. And it just diverts for like 3 minutes. And RJ may decide to argue me here right now and say, hey, you just said you can't have Kent and Worcester. You know what? It's my list. I can do whatever the fuck I want. You're doing a great job. I think I'm doing a pretty good job here too. So 10/23/94, 11/12/94, 12/5/95, and then I had the Camden 03 version. And I think this is an interesting point of conversation because, the first Harry Hood I ever saw was an encore Harry Hood from 7/18/03, and that is the first real version, that tour that diverts. And I remember being there and being like, whoa, they're not playing Harry Hood anymore. What the hell is happening? And they figured a way back. And then it happened twice more. It happened in Charlotte and it happened in Camden. And I think the Charlotte version gets a lot of love because it goes so far out into the unknown.
Yeah.
The return and the peak is really non-existent. And if you listen to that version, I think a lot of the mostly unfair critique that 2.0 Fish gets exists in that version. It's very long and very kind of stumbles a little bit at times. I think that you texted this to us, Meg, that 731 version, they really connect around a theme. They build and expand, and that theme never goes too far from Hood. So when they return to it, they are fully locked in, and it's a very, very good peak. Well, we're not at honorable mentions yet, so I'll just pause there. Heap praise and or hate on my list as you will.
I just want to say the 12,595, it has that dark rolling jam, and it's kind of a watery version of the usual hood climb. Like it has like a really unique feel to it. It's really, really cool. I liked that one a lot too. Cool picks.
I'm surprised that 725 didn't make it on any of the lists, but I do think it's, it is just like it's a summer 03 jam. It's exploratory and
it's sick. It's really cool.
It's weird and it's cool and fun, but it to me sounds like a lot of the other summer 03 jams without the thing that makes it what it's supposed to be.
You know what's really good about that version though, too, and I think that a lot of versions do this that I was surprised about, is that they can find their way back into hood really well. Trey's not always great at reentry, and I think hood, they're really good at reentry and hood. Like that one especially, like there's this like weightlessness at the end and then this effortless creep back in. It's so good. And then it fades into Bowie after, which is like, yes, so good. But yeah.
It's crazy. Okay.
It's crazy. They could probably re-enter Bowie pretty easily too.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, if you can just do this.
No. It's not going to happen. Okay. So here's what we got. Here's what we got from the fans. You guys ready for we're going to do the aggregated fan vote, and then we'll talk about a couple individual fan votes. Okay, cool. We got 12/31/93, 10/23/94, 8/17/97, and 7/25/03. Those are the versions that received the most.
Oh, they picked 25. Oh, interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, and 2.0 stands out there.
And the 12/31/93 had the most votes. I don't know if it's because it was first chronologically on the list. I mean, of the notable versions, because there are a few other ones before that. And then 10/23/94, and then the 7/25/03 beat out 12/5/95 and 12/30/95 by one vote each. So it's all pretty close.
There's some great stuff. This is a very hard list to put together.
It is.
Yeah.
Can I share 2 honorable mentions I had?
Yeah, I want to talk about a couple individual listeners' picks, but I can do that after or
no. Talk about them first.
Okay, we'll just do a couple. We got a bunch, and thank you guys and we'll keep doing this and invite you to share yours. Chad Blitz had 12/31/93, 10/23/94, 8/17/97, and 8/8/98. That was
that's one of my honorable mentions.
Great version.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we had a heavy October 94 with 12/31/93, 10/20/94, 10/23/94, and then went that was from BL002E. We know him. Assume it's a him. He comments Blue
Yes.
E. Mm-hmm. He also listed 12/31/98 as one we should listen to.
Great version with the glow snake around the stage. Yeah, that was a killer version.
A couple more. Matt Power has 7/1/94, which was was in contention for me. 11/12/94, 3/18/97, and 8/8/98. With a shout out to 7/15. Yeah, with a shout out to 7/15/98, and then Jeremy, our friend Jeremy, who is texting me, and I think he was trying to sway my votes, but didn't completely work. No, he had 8/8/93, 12/31/93, 5/27/94, and 11/12/94. So that was
that's Charlie.
Very much. No, that's Jeremy.
Oh, okay. That's
Jeremy Krieger.
That's a very vet pick.
Yeah, it is.
5/27/94 rules. That's a great call.
There were some votes for 10/28/14. There were some people who put the 2010, December run version on there, which I thought was fun. It's very, very much of the time of the Plinko Jam. Like I didn't get a ton out of that personally, but what do you guys have in terms of honorable mentions? I got a couple, but Megan, what do you?
Can I just defend 12/28/14? 12/28/10 here for a second before we all jump in, because
go for it.
I didn't really feel it. I don't know how much you guys were listening to Fish in 2010, but that and I know Incredible Perp referenced this earlier. That moment was one of those okay, it's gonna be okay. They may play a 27 song first set, but if we can get a Harry Hood like that, we're gonna be back at some point in time. That was one of those I still believe versions. So
that's fair.
Carry on. Not on my honorable mentions, but Let's not scoff at it, okay? Come on.
The little staccato thing that Trey does is fine.
Little staccato thing. What else could he do? He couldn't solo. He had to figure out new ways to play his guitar.
That's not my fault. Okay, Megan, what are your honorable mentions?
You paid
I
us.
think the first one to hit off my list was 8893, just because after Top Tours, I really believe in the power of August 1993. I think it's so important, and I actually really wanted to have a hood from this period and in my list, and I think that's just an incredible version and super important, thinking about what was happening for them in August 93. Then I had 3/1897 from Hunts on there as well. And then we've talked about the other ones. I had like 10/20/94 from St. Petersburg. I had the Went, and I had 7/25 from Charlotte.
Yeah, I think that the 3/18/97 is, that's an interesting one because we know that was the release party for Fish Food, right? It was at
like the Water
Wheel
event.
Yeah, and the launch for Water Wheel. And it's like a pretty just very standard show. Like it's not a great show, but the hood is.
But it has that
really,
hood.
The hood is
really
amazing.
great.
Save the show.
Really
yeah, kind of like 12/30/24.
It's got a lot of patience, especially because it was like it was a party, and they had guests, they had it has a lot of patience for something that felt like probably a stressful kind of night and event to put together. But they like a lot of interplay and a lot of really patient playing, and it's a really good version.
Really
weird.
If
they want to open a show. Oh yeah, exactly, the space effects. Yeah. Also, if they want to open a show with Cinnamon Girl, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I support
I saw one Cinnamon Girl. I'm very happy to get any Fish playing Crazy Horse. Come on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Baker's Dozen. That's what Baker's Dozen was for. It's for getting
I was at Middle Weekend, baby. Just take me back. One of the best runs. They couldn't really jam as we explored last year, not like they can now, but they tried. That was the key.
They tried so hard.
Saw a lot of rare songs. Is it my turn now?
Yeah, let's hear your honorable mentions.
So I had for the honorables 12/31/93, which is going to get me scoring by Fish Bros everywhere. 10/20/94. We've talked about this excellent version. Very experimental, very weird. And then I had two that I don't think we've talked about yet. 8/10/97. This is the left field selection rather than doing the DAG. And this also closes the first set, which is one of my favorite moves Harry Hood can do. When Harry Hood is played in the first set, there is nothing like it.
I was at that show,
Mike,
just so you know.
You were at this show, outstanding show. I'm picking it because you were at this show more than the music that was there. What was this, like almost 20 years before we met? I was like, that dude knows what's up.
Yep.
Rather than the DAG jam, Mike inserts B minor, I believe. And so it's D, B minor, G, but I think Trey is still playing parts of A. You're going to have to get a musicologist in here to make sense of my stupidity, but it's a very different approach to Harry Hood. And as a result, it hits in a totally different emotional way. Whereas the true Harry Hood jam is hopeful, and it peaks and it's celebratory. This is sad. And it shows that like one minor shift in musical approach can change the entire vibe. And I love this version. It sounds unlike any other Harry Hood I've ever heard, with good reason. It's part of one of my favorite Fish shows that has ever been played. Also a show RJ was at. It's a show that is in the why the fuck isn't this officially released category, which is growing ever more by the day. Just beautiful, gorgeous stuff. Really, really here for it. And then my final version was.
Can I just say something about A10 real quick?
Oh yeah, you were there. You can say anything.
Well, no, I just want to say that I did kind of disagree with the jam chart entry on this one. Like it says something about hose, which they love, using in these jam charts. I don't.
When in doubt,
really. Yeah, I mean, Trey never lets off the jam like the entire time. So it's a lot of like Trey playing and building the peak, but I would not describe it as that definition of the watering of the fans or flowers or whatever.
No, this is like lyrical, kind of understated. It has like a gorgeous triumphant peak, but it's much more. Brian did a better
It's
job explaining it
contemplative.
than
This is a little bit more
yeah,
cerebral than
exactly.
the like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm supporting VT Taboot's comment here. Kevin Shapiro needs to release the Brinkman series LP. That would be probably the greatest accomplishment of my life to get something like that.
Totally. That'd be
I'm
so
I'm
sick.
here to do the hard work, guys. I've already listened to these. I've already notated this. Like now I just need someone to listen to my pitch. Last one. Again, we didn't talk about this. Wanted to give the 3.0 love here, like Meg did. The 8.5 2013 version from the
Yeah.
Hollywood Bowl. Those who were following Fish day to day at this point in 3.0 recall an incredible Tahoe tweezer, a great Bill Graham run. Fish is at like the highest of highs, and then oh yeah, we have a tour finale in Los Angeles, which probably is going to suck because it's just going to be a bunch of like media moguls and music industry dudes hanging out listening to 8-minute Fish songs. And if you look at like the set time on Live Fish, it's literally all 8-minute songs, and then this 22-minute version of Harry Hood. What the hell is going on? Did they mistrack this? No, it takes the 72503 approach and actually makes it clear, concise type 2 jamming that they played so well throughout 2013. Like one of the craziest things about 2013 is there are these deep jams, but Trey's not burdened by effect pedals and Page doesn't have all these crazy synthesizers yet. So it's really the band playing like an effectless, very clear type of music. We talked about this in our fall 2013 episode. But this was one of those jams that like it snuck towards the very end of the show. Doesn't get talked about a ton nowadays, but if you go back and listen to it and you judge it just purely on the music, it is one of the most impressive type 2 jam Harry Hoods there is. And like Meg said so brilliantly, I think that the type 2 jamming is a part of it. I think everything RJ said was great. You did a great job, bud. But I do think you sell it a little short if you say it's just about the peak. It's about the peak. And there's all these other things about it that have made it really special. And I think 8.513 has to be somewhere in the range here, maybe like 20th best.
The interplay between Page and Trey in the floating section is just so beautiful. And then when it comes back
Really
in,
good.
it's like really shimmery. I don't know, the Hood refrain, like climb back up is shimmery. I like that version a lot. That was just under my honorable mentions. I like it.
Brian, because you slandered me, will you offer me just a second to correct the record here?
Please correct. That was not slight. You did a great job. You did an awesome job today.
I'm so nervous now.
So happy with the work that you've done.
I just want to no. I want to. You should be.
And gotta have Hood. At least I start out with like a softball. I'm starting out with an easier one for sure.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a second.
Okay.
Because voting is about to be open, if you can believe it. Brian, when you said I didn't say it was all about the peak. I said it's all about the build toward the peak. So like if you're gonna fuck around with Hood and you're gonna like do some weird stuff and effects and like make it and go off into the wilderness, that's fine. But you got to come back and it's got to pay off in a bigger way if you're gonna do that. If you're gonna do that and then lose it and then like you've pointed out happens sometimes when you come back, they come back into it and then it's just like I don't remember what song this was. Let's just like end the song. Then that's a waste of a Harry Hood. That's my only point.
That's a fair point. I'll see you in court because you accused me of slander. So we'll see where this goes here, bud.
Yeah, that sounds
Guys,
great.
we're trying to be nice during these episodes. Don't forget, these are not our fighting epissodes.
That's fine. Anybody can say what they want in this day and age. All right. So,
no consequences.
Guys, if you've been sad about no 3.0 or 4.0 jams being represented on Mount Rushmore so far, you'll be happy to know that next time, which is I guess going to be in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing only 3.0 and 4.0 because Megan has the distinct pleasure of doing the Mount Rushmore choices for light. So
yeah, I'm excited. I'm nervous, but I'm excited. Mm-hmm.
It's all happening. We have a list of. We have 13 on the list. I think this is going to get This is going to get a lot of write-ins, though. I think we're going to get a lot of write-in votes. We're going to get a lot of,
I don't think we should have any write-ins. I would argue against the write-in process. I'm pretty sure that the list that we have is the list. But hey, write in if you want.
No, we have
you
a
have to make a
question
really great
on the.
argument.
Listen, we have a question for if you think there are any versions that you think should be added that weren't on this list. Tell us. That's all I'm saying. It's part of the process. I mean, if you don't believe in democracy, like that's fine, but people should be able to express their opinions.
The write-in votes
mean,
are
it's-
such a waste of time, though, in our
The write-in
democracy.
is a third party. Come on.
Yeah,
Great.
come
Cool. Yeah. Bring me your 300
Just waste
votes. My
vote.
goodness.
Great.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I like hearing from our listeners about what the kind of music they enjoy. I mean, I might be alone
That's
in
a fair.
that.
That's a fair
true. It's
point.
true.
Do not
Just
put me in this corner of not liking our listeners because I like our listeners a lot.
Seriously.
Okay.
Do
But
you?
yes.
Do you really?
Well, I mean,
Unless they vote for me in the
most of
draft,
them.
then Brian doesn't like them.
I like the people that
This is
vote for you in the draft. I
fantastic.
just would like to have a sit down conversation with them about what they're voting for. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my God. Okay, great. Yeah.
Great.
Mhm.
Okay, so tell us who you
They're
think
voting
won
for the
today's
I
Harry
guess
Hood
the
Mount
best
Rushmore
list.
draft.
Whatever it is.
The best list. The best list. Yeah, we're doing light next. We are still like there's no rhyme or reason to this, although I think I tried to curate this to like create anticipation, excitement, and
Yeah.
diversity, which don't publish that because I probably shouldn't say that. We might get taken off of Apple Podcasts now that I use that word.
Seriously.
But like, we came out hard with Bathtub Gin and Harry Hood. Let's look at what I would argue is the best jam vehicle of the 3.0 era, and let's let Meg curate it. Really, really excited.
Yeah, me too.
It's gonna be fun. If you go to osirispod.com/Rushmore, you can vote on your Rushmore for light. It's happening right now. The link is live. That's gonna be in 2 weeks. Next week, we have a special guest who will be joining us. We are going to be joined by Ray Pachkowski of Lamp and of the Trey Anastasio band. Ray is awesome. He's going to come talk to us about Lamp's new album and the tour, and I'm sure we'll talk about a lot of Fish music. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk to Ray. That's going to be awesome.
That's going to be incredible.
Killer.
Yeah. I'm really happy to be able to do that. Brian, what else you got?
We should also just point out, just so everyone gets hype for this, and we should probably share this at some point. The week of April 7th, we don't have an exact date yet, but in the build up to the spring tour, we are going to be doing another draft. This will be our third draft of the year so far. The first two didn't break up the pod, so why not try it out with a third? We are going to be drafting West Coast Fish shows, which is going to include Southern California, Northern California, Oregon, Washington, plus 2 wildcard categories, which we will tell you more about. Some amazing Fish music has been made on the Pacific Coast, and we're going to draft it all and come up with a list of 18 shows that you absolutely must listen to prepare for Fish Spring 2025 tour.
Wow.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I do want to say that I did have to ask Brian to call this list a bit because it was pretty unwieldy. So, Brian, I appreciate that you did that for us.
Whatever you need, however we can help you.
Hey, you asked for solutions, Meg. I provided them. Brian and I we're here for you.
I know. I feel very
I spent a
supported.
great
Thanks, guys.
lunch break being like, hey, do I want to read some more of my novel, or do I want to call the draft so that Megan has an easier time preparing? What do I want to do? And I decided to go with that. So anyone out there
Oh,
who's like,
thank you so
this
much.
guy's super salty about losing drafts, like, I'm just doing what I can to help my friends.
And you're also allowing me to continue to beat you in number of books read this year. So that was like a double thing for me. So that was good.
I don't think you're going to beat me again.
Yeah. Well,
I might not. That would be sad.
It's going to be
I'm
wonderful.
Ripping through my guy at my coffee shop. Every time I come in, he's like, another new book.
He's
I'm
still
like, yeah,
making
bro.
comments.
Yeah, bro.
He's like your
Another
number
new
one
book.
cheerleader. Oh my God. I need like a build-up person. I need somebody to be noticing what I'm doing. I'm going to go start bringing my book into the coffee shop and like acting very like,
You have like
hey,
third
here's my
graders who
book.
are like, hey, you're doing great, Meg.
Yeah. They don't say
Megan,
that. But it's
you're
okay.
gonna love that book. I'm telling you, it's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I'm like 50 pages in. I like it.
It's wacky.
Do we
Yeah,
have
she's-
another library card to announce? Where are we at with scheduling
Sure.
for that? We should just
I
do
think
everything
that's at
right
the
now.
end of this month. But I don't
What are
think
we
we have a
doing?
day
Are we doing
yet.
James?
We're doing
doing
James by
James?
Percival Everett. Mhm.
We are doing James. I
Yeah.
think we said the week of the 24th, but I don't know if we have a date. But it would be that week if we're still doing that, which we should.
We absolutely should. We'll figure that
Um,
out because we have a
yeah.
lot of scheduling issues now. with
BT to
spring break
boot. Great to
problems.
see you. Came out to the Worcester show. Appreciate that. Reprise. Maybe seen the most reprise shows outside of the band and crew so far.
That's amazing. I've
Yeah.
seen
That's a
3.
bar.
That's pretty good, right?
Three's pretty good. Three's pretty
Mhm.
good. Okay, I think we're good.
I need them to come to Colorado. I have a
Well, I
couple
know.
shows that they should play in
Yes.
Colorado, and I want to see RJB.
Well, there's other ways to do that. All right. Next week we're gonna have Ray here. Actually, very close to Brian's birthday. Although Brian will be doing things for his birthday, so we're gonna celebrate
know, it's a
Brian
big birthday,
in some
too.
way.
It's a big one.
Yeah, we're gonna have to celebrate you, Brian. Just so you know.
Yes.
No,
we
you love being celebrated.
Love
Yep,
it.
they
Love
make it
love.
really awkward. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So fun. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening, and to our friend who commutes, I hope you enjoyed this episode and that it worked with your commuting. And to everyone else, we'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.